Welcome back to the Self-Esteem and Confidence Mindset podcast with me, Johnny Pardo. Today, I welcome Sergio to the show, where we're going to be talking about self-confidence, coming back from setbacks, and creating more of a life you love, and many, many more things. So I'm just going to give a quick introduction to Sergio, and then we'll dive into our conversation today. So Sergio is a performance coach with over 10 years experience. Sergio's inspiring story on how he overcame PTSD and a heart attack to create a seven-figure business fuels his passion for helping others achieve their full potential. With a unique blend of military service, entrepreneurial ventures, and personal resilience, Sergio brings a powerful perspective to his coaching. Sergio's expertise extends beyond mindset, relationships, and business, allowing him to hold a powerful space for clients to embrace vulnerability and create a life where they can truly have it all. Awesome, Sergio. A man with lots to offer the world. So I'm really excited for our conversation today. So what I'd like to ask you, first of all, is really, obviously, I mentioned there was a couple of challenges, with the PTSD and the heart attack, and then you've gone to the whole seven-figure business. What was it that helped you sort of start that journey and start coming back from that? Was there a moment that really made you start like driving for more? It'd be really interesting to hear your kind of story and anything else I might have missed out.
No, first off, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, Johnny. Listen, there's this moment in my life where I had come back from my deployment from Afghanistan. I had just gotten out of a relationship and it hit me right in the face like a ton of fucking bricks. And there was this moment where I was at Coachella and I had done a bunch of Molly and I'm just sitting there hanging out and I'm like, there has to be more to my life than what I'm doing right now. I finally had come to the realization that, I was struggling with depression, suicidal thoughts, and like this real lack of confidence and knowing of who I am. Wow. And it was in that moment, which I'm surprised I was able to kind of have that thought pattern when I'm just like hanging out and like really in the weeds with exploring some psychedelics. But I'm sitting there being like, all right, something's got to change here. And when I came back from that, that's when I really started to seek and get some professional help and therapy. I started to realize that the potential and who I am as an individual and what I was doing wasn't in alignment with my values. And so I just started to go get some professional help. And it was about 2.5 years worth of it, where it was this constant exploration of who I am, both in therapy, outside of therapy, evaluating my friendships. And it was really this moment where I was like, okay, listen, I'm here for a reason. I need to figure out whatever that reason is. And then I'm just going to go with it. And so it really all just started with a lot of professional help and getting therapy.
Wow. I'm glad you did, obviously. And now you're sharing your message with the world and look where it's taken you. I just really want to really touch on that and the therapy, because like I've done it even when I'm not, not necessarily I have been in, dark places in my life as well. But even when it's just too much, there's a bit of an overload, maybe personally and professionally, I found it super useful. Like with reaching out for help initially or getting that help for like an individual who's perhaps thinking that, they might try and work a difficult situation out alone versus perhaps seeking support. I just wondered, is there anything you would say on that? Because I know for many years, I personally would not just say anything and I stored it away to myself when I was in a challenging situation. Just really interested in your view.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I was in the military for 11.5 years, and that's what led to that. And in the military, you're taught to suppress it, a lot of this type of stuff. And maybe it's not actually taught, maybe it's just like indoctrinated, and that's what it feels like. But having the ability to suppress that stuff is honestly what kept me alive probably during my deployment to Afghanistan. And so when you come back, it's this really deep thought pattern of like, well, is what I'm doing going to allow me to become the person I want to become, or does something need to change? And it's an honest conversation that I had to have with myself, knowing that some of the things that are starting to percolate up inside of me, some of the thoughts and feelings that I'm not too familiar with, I honestly just don't know how to navigate it. And that is okay. And as a guy, as a male, we tend to think that, it'll just go away or we'll figure it out. And
Yeah.
the reality is it wasn't going to figure itself out. And even though I was trying to mask it with drugs and alcohol and suppress it, inevitably those demons came out. And if I had just been able to be honest about where I'm at before I turned to that, I think I would have been able to get into therapy earlier. Because for the longest time, there was a lot of shame around me saying that I needed help. And someone once told me that being able to ask for help is one of the strongest things that you can do. And so I just needed that permission to be able to go. And so if people are in a spot where they're in a tough spot and they don't know how to handle it, I just want you to know, like, you have permission from the two of us to go do it. Because sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah, 100%. Well, thanks for sharing what you were going through and suppressing it down a little bit. With drugs and alcohol, I can certainly relate for quite a lot of my 20s, if I'm honest, as well. Like whereby it's just like going out every Saturday, and when it got to like some more self-reflective time, it sometimes could be like particularly later 20s when a couple of things happen and kind of reflecting on things and then pandemic, and then you could doing all this like personal, even more personal growth work. It was like, wow, you actually sit with yourself, and sometimes it's hard, right? Like actually to realize what you've been putting down. I don't know if you felt like that at all, Sergio, when you stopped, suppressing it. Actually, it was quite challenging at first, but then I found it quite relieving. I don't know if you found similar or different or.
It's very overwhelming at first. The longest time, it was all about suppressing it and ignoring it and not wanting to deal with it. And those become weeds inside of you, and those weeds take root, and those roots get deeper and deeper the longer you ignore it. And so at first it's like, well, where the fuck do I start? Do I start with this sadness? Do I start with this depression? Do I start with this substance abuse? Do I start with the breakup? Do I start with this identity crisis? Like, where do I start? And it's just like anything else in our lives. We have to figure out what is the manageable chunks to kind of go down. And once I started to alleviate some of the pain and the stressors in one area and really bring that to the light, I started to realize that I felt a little bit lighter and I could move through life a little bit easier. And that some of the thoughts that before I would run from, I actually started to understand, which helped uncover a bunch of other things. And it's funny how you deal with one part of your life and the other parts of your life can start to get better because they're all interconnected. And so that overwhelming piece at the beginning, that's just part of the process, and understanding that you're not alone in that, but eventually it always gets better.
Yeah, I certainly would use the word overwhelm at times. And like not being alone, I think that's a key message I would emphasize as well. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. So now you're obviously like this coach, and you've like of like 10 years plus, I believe 10 years, right?
Yeah, I mean, in the military I was leadership and coaching, then I was a personal trainer as a coach. I've been coaching forever.
Yeah, sure. And with the like big challenge I come across when I talk to people, and perhaps it's happened in my life like a few times as well, is when we're like a little bit stuck on where we want to go and actually what we want to do. How did you start like discovering? Was it a case of trying things? Was it a case of one day you just realize, that's what I want to do? Yeah, I'm always interested to hear people's different views on actually how is it we discover what we want when there's so much thrown at us in this day and age.
Yeah, the best advice I can give you is simple: fuck around and find out. You got to go do some stuff. I mean, I got out of the military and I immediately became a personal trainer. And then I went and got my master's degree. And then I started to work as an account manager for a tech company. And then I tried finance. And then I tried to do sales. And then I got into real estate. And now I'm a coach. And so there was a lot of these just being open to the path. A lot of times people want to figure out, well, this is what I need to do, and this is going to be forever. And that's not a fair assessment, because as you start to go down these paths, whether that's career or relationship, you start to get new information and you evolve and grow as a person. And so the ability to just recognize, well, this is what I want to do right now. And going down that path because it feels true, like you're calling and going down, but also being open to go from broad awareness of like, well, what is here for me? What do I want to do? Focus attention to doing the thing, and then opening back up to being like, well, I have this new perspective. I have this new outlook. I have this new skill set, success, mindset. What else is here for me? Do I still want to be going down this path, or is there something new? And so it's really just like letting go of whatever it is that you think it needs to be and being open to whatever is.
Yeah, I mean, I would use the word, like, for me, it's certainty was definitely, it's like featured many times. I've got to be certain, got to know what I want to do, and that kind of thing. But I really, that was such simple, effective advice. I love what you said. Go and, fuck around and then discover what you want. It helped you. And it sounds like you did many, many things. Were they like just opportunities that came your way and then you just thought, oh, I'm going to try it? Or was it just like that someone had presented you an opportunity? Or was it like, oh, I'm interested in that and I'm going to go try it? Or was it a bit of a mixture?
I think it's been a bit of a mixture. Yeah, the certainty that I did have, there's been very few moments in my life where I was certain about what I needed to do. One was joining the military after 9/11. I was like, I feel a calling to go serve my country.
Oh, amazing.
The second one was to become an entrepreneur. I vividly remember being in a yoga class in like Shavasana, and I heard my grandfather's voice go, hey, go do it. And I went in the next day and quit my job and became a real estate agent. And for 5 years, I did that. And now all of a sudden I'm in this spot where I've been coaching, but now I'm in a spot where I know my calling is now to go headfirst into coaching. That's where I'm going. And so these have been 3 moments in my life, but along the way, there's also been a lot of like, well, that seemed like a good opportunity. It's presented itself. Let me see where this takes me. And everything I've done along the way has led me exactly to where I am.
It's an interesting like journey you've like been on. Now you're like obviously this coach and got a lot of real estate, being in the military, and how that's kind of taken you down this like road. And I remember having a conversation with a friend and she was like, I need to know what I want to do. And this was like a Tony Robbins event. It's like, well, I've tried a few things. It's like, I'll try some more stuff, I think someone said to her. So yeah, it's I like what you said. I definitely can relate to that.
And the craziest part too, Johnny, is imagine that we're just today. I'm like, okay, I have to do this thing.
Right.
But as the person I am today, I can't even think about what else is possible down the road because I'm only this version of me. So if I don't allow myself to grow and be open to other possibilities as I grow, then the pressure becomes, well, I have to figure out what I'm going to do for the next 30 years of my life. Just figure out what you want to do for this next season, however long that season is. And then as that seasons adjust, because you adjust, you can make different decisions.
I like it. It's quite, the way you're putting it is it's quite like empowering this moment. It's not this, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not this whole like chase until I get to that point and I need to get to that point. It's like, actually, where am I right now? What can I do? What am I feeling? And then there'll be an opportunities. Would that be accurate to say, or have I?
Yeah, because what happens, I want you to think about this, right? The word that you used, whether it was by choice or just by accident, this idea of chasing. And if I'm constantly chasing something that I think is going to either bring me happiness, joy, or whatever, it's always going to become elusive. Because you're going to chase it, you're going to get there thinking that this is the thing, and then you're going to get the thing, and you're like, well, fuck, that wasn't it. Now I got to figure out what is the thing now. Versus, hey, this is what I'm called to do now. This is the information I have. I have the confidence, self-esteem, and trust in myself that this is where I need to go. I'm going to go.
Yeah. Like it's all about building that certainty in yourself. And like what's coming up, you're saying. I like it. So there's all these different views. It's really interesting to get different perspectives. Would you stay away from the whole kind of, or maybe you don't, the kind of vision setting intention of where you want to be? That's not.
You mean like a vision board or kind of like casting a vision?
Yeah, like, we got like these 5-year visions or like 10-year visions. That's something that maybe doesn't resonate with you as much.
It resonates with me. I think it's just a different timeline.
Okay.
I like to do my vision casting in 12 months. And in 12 months, it's, well, what can I accomplish? And so I get clear on what I want. There's a lot of
Awesome.
value in that. I think that there's way more value in that than people understand. Because if you aren't clear on what you want and you're not doing what you want, then no matter what goal you have for yourself, if it's not in alignment with what you want, you're never going to actually do the fucking work required. So you have to cast this vision, but that vision has to be based in the reality of where you're at today. Because if we can't be honest about where we're at, then any vision that we create for ourselves is simply going to be built in fantasy. So we have to have the foundation of fact. The example I can give is, I was making $24,000 a year, $12,000 in credit card debt as a personal trainer. If I was just to say, hey, next year I'm going to make $10 million, that's rooted in fantasy. I don't have the skill sets, the mindsets, the resources to do that. But if that 12-year goal was like, okay, hey, or 12-month goal was, hey, I want to make $65,000 a year. One, that's obtainable. Now I just have to become the man that can do that. Once I get there, then I can open back up and be like, well, now that I have this, what can I do? And that's how I've been evolving from $24,000 a year to $65,000, $65,000 to $330,000, $330,000 to $960,000, $960,000 to wherever we're going to go next. But it's been this evolution. And so you cast this vision based on the facts of today, and then you build out a plan to get there. And it's all about stay true to the target, let go of the path, because you don't know how to get there.
Say that again, that last bit, just again, so we can hear it.
Yeah. Stay true to the target of where you want to go, but you have to let go of the path. And the reason you have to let go of the path is that you are not the person that can figure out how to get there. You have to go 1 month at a time, because every time you get new information, the path might change a little bit. But the destination's the same. Where we're going to Denver. All right, well, we're here now. Where are we going? We're still going to Denver. We just have different information. The next month, where are we going? We're still going to Denver. We just have to find a different path. So you have to be open to letting the path evolve as you evolve.
Gotcha. Yeah. I like this perspective. And I think, like, I like the way that you said, you perhaps in, what is it, around $22,000 of credit card debt or something like that. And then it's like, you to aim for 10 million is going to be a bit of a unrealistic fantasy, to be honest. I think, for me, like, I always find it's useful to set like a realistic but ambitious kind of target in terms of where I'm going. So no, that's really useful. It's really useful to hear like a different perspective on that. So Sergio, like, I want to touch a little bit on like setbacks. I mean, I don't want to assume, but I guess like on your way, you've had, or you might have had some setbacks, right?
Yeah, just a few.
Yeah, me too. So how can you use your setbacks for you? How can you use them to like power yourself up?
Listen, the setbacks are put in front of you as a lesson. And oftentimes that lesson comes to you first as like a little bit of a whisper. And if you don't get it the first time, it's going to knock on your door. If you continue not doing it, it's going to kick down your fucking house. And if you don't listen, then it's going to burn your life to the ground. And so part of these setbacks are opportunities for us to learn, extract the lesson. And we might have to learn that lesson a few different ways, but these setbacks are really a chance for us to get to know who we are, what we need to change, whether the things that are serving us are still serving us, or whether they're not, we have to replace them. And so all of the setbacks that I've had, whether that's PTSD or having a heart attack or having to call off my wedding, all of those things have allowed me to get a deeper understanding of me, a deeper knowing of me. And that deeper understanding and knowing has built this level of confidence that right now feels very unshakable. But it doesn't mean that I don't have more to learn and that there's not more lessons. And so a lot of times we want to run away from these problems because they hurt. And I get that. But the reality is, if we can sit in it and really extract the lesson, then it's going to prevent us from getting our lives burned to the ground for no reason.
Love that. Yeah. Learning on the way. And actually not running. I mean, yeah, I guess it can be quite hard at the moment, but like learning from it is something that it can empower you in the future. And actually, I like what you said about knocking at the door as well. Like when it comes, it knocks at the door, that it knocks harder, and then yeah, I mean, I've had that through like job losses. It was like there's signs it was going under, and I kind of just did nothing about it. And then it's like a year or so later, I actually lost a job. So it's just like the signs were there. Um, and then actually I learned a lot about myself in that whole process. So it's yeah, I can relate to what you're saying in a certain way as well. So yeah, thanks for sharing that one.
Of course.
I was going to ask you, like, in terms of, you've mentioned confidence a couple of times, and like actually it's helped you build like setbacks have helped you build this kind of more unshakable confidence. Are there any other things that help you with your confidence over the years that have helped you grow and become where you are?
Yeah, I think it's the ability for me to link certain parts of my life to other parts of my life. One of the things I always coach my clients on is I ask them, where do they feel the most confident? A lot of times they'll refer back to things that they did as a kid or things that they did in high school. I was confident in playing a sport, or I'm confident in my career. And then I posed the question, I was like, but on day one, were you confident? And they're like, no. And if you can build confidence in one area of your life, then you can really do it in any other area of your life. Where the confidence comes into play is, can you link your actions to the outcome that took place? No matter how small the action, no matter how small the outcome, are you able to link those together and see those in your mind? That I did this and this is what happened. That's how you start to build the confidence in knowing that you have what it takes to do whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. And people overlook the small things. I woke up this morning early. I didn't hit the snooze button. I went to work out. I said I was going to eat healthy, and I ate healthy. These are all little things that when we can connect the input to the outcome, they start to build this confidence and this knowing and this trust in ourselves. And that confidence is momentum. And the more that we can connect the little things, then we'll give ourselves the opportunity to see some of the bigger things.
So you said like an area they've been successful and looking at that. So almost kind of like modeling like how they did it in like one area. Would that be accurate to say?
That's a fair assessment. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Because yeah, I often hear like, you know, I have no confidence. And it's like, well, in what? That's always my challenge. So it's like, oh, in anything, really? So yeah, that's always the challenge I have. It's like, well, did you start with the simple things like, did you tie your shoes this morning? Did you get out of bed and do your teeth or whatever you're able to do? And it's like, well, that's because you built that confidence. And it's like, well, can you drive? Yeah, pass your driving test. I bet you weren't confident in driving a car at the start. And then you start to think a little bit more. Oh, actually, yeah, I've got some confidence. Well, how can you apply that to another area of your life?
Yeah, and most people lack confidence in the way they look. They don't like it when they're standing in front of the mirror naked and they have to see themselves and all their shitty fucking decisions. They don't like it. And so they're standing there. That's why people don't have sex with their spouse, because they don't like the way they look. They lack the confidence. That's why people, when they step into a meeting and they don't like the way they look, they're not able to close deals or get new transactions or get new clients or move up the ladder. Well, that's why people stay inside and they go do activities because they don't believe in their body. So I think a lot of it starts right here in how you carry your physical vessel. This is your home. And if you really want to build confidence, well, let's explore some of the outer limits of what you can do with your body. How can we get you to look good in the mirror so that when you look, you're like, I feel good about this. And then on top of that, you're also fighting these negative self-talk while you're working out. That constant voice of, I'm not good enough, I'm fat, I feel like a piece of shit. You overcome those voices and now you see the results. You're creating a real powerful motherfucker out of those two things. And when you have those, that confidence that you're creating in your body, that will transfer everywhere, into your career, into your relationships, everywhere. You show up differently. So a lot of times we have to start with our physical vessel because it's the easiest thing to see.
Yeah, like it's really interesting, Sergio. You probably know of 75 hard, right? The challenge, or maybe not.
I know it. I've never done it.
Yeah, I'm on day 62 at the moment, and
Good
it's
for you.
yeah, it's. I'll be honest, just to share kind of some of the findings from it. And this is like a message from it that I want to share. It's like it was a bit like, we go up and down. I was a bit like kind of lost a couple of months ago, a bit of a challenging time. And I went, I need something consistent to get myself back on form. Like, not that I was in a bad place completely physically, but actually what I started doing was a 75 hard challenge. And then it's like, it brings the energy, brings everything back again. So I was able to perform a little bit better in like business and sales and every area, really, just by getting into the 75 hard. So that was, exercising twice a day, drinking a gallon of water, getting those physical habits. And it really transferred to other areas of my life as well. So I just thought I'd bring up that example whilst you were touching on it,
Yeah.
being able to build those habits.
And I want to ask you a question. What were some of the stories that you were telling yourself prior to doing 75 hard? And those stories, like, what were you saying about yourself? What were you saying about your career? What were you saying about your physical body? Like, what were the things that you were repeating to yourself before you started this that forced you to want to do this?
Yeah, so for me, it was a little bit around like, oh, I've got no energy to do things. It's like I'd have all these like tasks to do in the evenings, and then I just get frustrated with like, oh, I'm not productive. And then it was like, oh, I'm not doing as well in business as I can. It was some of those stories I was getting into and I hadn't, done as much. And yeah, a lot of like sort of the things I was saying to myself was things like, yeah, I just wish I could be like performing at my best. And I was just like a little bit critical and got into that spell. And then when I start going through this, it's just like a pat on the back every day. It's like, yes, I know you got to celebrating something that's key as well. And that's really helped me.
And I want the listeners to hear this. Your stories are going to dictate your actions, and your actions are going to dictate your future. Change your stories, they'll change your actions. You change your actions, you change your future. And that's one of the things that we do in my coaching company. We teach you how to rewrite your stories, because if the stories are the thing that are going to make or break what you decide to do, then we have to rewrite them and be aware of what's going on so that we can then cast that vision for the life that we do want.
Absolutely, yeah. Story is absolutely. I sort of follow a lot of Tony Robbins, and he's always going on about the story. And yeah, and he's saying like lots of people blame it on like some kind of circumstance. I haven't got this, I haven't got that, and he's like, that's BS. That's just the story you've been telling yourself. That's what he always says.
And the victim mentality is dangerous, dude.
Hmm.
You get into this victim mentality, all of a sudden you're looking for other people to fucking save you. And they're not going to. The only person that can do that is you. And I know this because how many times have people just started scrolling on Instagram looking for another motivational video? Jocko, David Goggins, Tony Robbins, whoever. Then they put their phone down and they're like, all right, I got this. Only 2 minutes later to find themselves, I need more. You got to be in control of your shit.
Absolutely love it. I think that's a good firm message to end on. But I know you've obviously got you've got your coaching company, and I know you've got lots more we could talk about today. And know you got lots more you could share. So just before we wrap up, Sergio, is there any final points or point that you'd like to share? And where can the listener find you, or more information about you if they want to connect with you?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram, Sergio.Nazzaro. Same thing on TikTok. Those are probably where I'm probably the most active. The last thing I will say is that there is an opportunity to have more than what you currently have in your life. A lot of that's dictated by either the people we hang out with and the environment that we're in. When you start to change those stories and you start to change the environment and you surround yourself with some powerful individuals, your entire life will look different in 12 months. But we have to start with understanding where you're at and then getting really clear on what you want. And when you have those two things, you become unstoppable.
Awesome. Love it. Great message to end on. So, Sergio, once again, a big thank you for coming on today. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, brother.
Awesome. So that concludes our episode for today. And remember, you are in control of your own self-esteem and confidence.